All right, as we told you, the province KwaZulu-Natal, its education department is assessing the storm's damage caused by the storms, recent storms as well as flooding. eNCA's reporter Mawande Kheswa is tracking that story and joins us now with an update from that situation. Mawande, we are told some 200 schools affected by flooding. As we speak, you and I at the moment, we're seeing serious flooding in the area of Ladysmith, and one can only wonder what the extent of the damage will be to schooling infrastructure. How is it looking in terms of preparations for reopening schools on Wednesday with this in mind?
Well, with the issue faced in Ladysmith, the MEC has said that they've decided on a decision which prohibits some schools from reopening in the area, citing safety concerns for the learners as well as the educators because of the severe storms that we have been experiencing. In other parts of the province, schools will reopen as it has been set out. One of the schools that we are at this moment is eMzamweni High in Umgungundlovu. Now, this particular school has suffered some damage. However, it's not as severe as some of the damage experienced by schools in Ladysmith. Most of the damage here is from the roofs, where the roofs are now leaking. There's also an issue of textbooks being wet as a result of those leaking roofs. The MEC has done a site inspection to view the damage, and it is not as bad as some of the other schools, and it's something that he says they will try to get onto quite swiftly. There are already 16 mobile classrooms in this particular school, so it is quite a difficult one to say there will be more mobile classrooms when there are mobile classrooms that have become a permanent fixture in terms of their usage. Interestingly, this school reopened about last week when teachers returned, and learners, particularly matric learners, are already in the school. They're already learning, and they've returned quite early. And according to the department, they say it's not something that was a prerequisite or that was an expectation. However, it's simply being done by the educators with the leadership of the principal. This school in 2020 achieved the pass rate for matrics of about 98%, and it has over 2,000 learners, an enrollment issue that needs to be addressed. According to the MEC, he can understand as to why that is the case, because majority of parents will want to send their kids to a well-performing school, and that often leads to this issue where there's not enough ablution facilities for the whole school. It's overcrowded, so these are issues that need to be looked into. However, they're not just a matter of fixing the enrollment with this particular school, but it's also addressing the issue of surrounding schools, because parents will often be attracted by those schools where the performance is high. So that means all the other schools in and around the area need to pull up their socks. So as far as that damage is concerned, there isn't that much of a severe issue in this particular schools. At least 186 have suffered damage. 90 of them, or at least 90, need major repairs. So part of that 90, some of the schools in Ladysmith fall under that 90, but that number is expected to increase as they keep getting more reports on schools that have been damaged. But in terms of schools reopening, the MEC says holistically they are on track. They're going to be able to reopen, and they are assessing the damage. The new financial year kicks in April, and that is when they'll be able to prioritize the various schools and areas of focus.
Mawande, it's a bit of a moving target, is it not, the whole issue of schooling infrastructure and classrooms in KwaZulu-Natal? Because, you know, now we're dealing with the damage from the storms, but a few months ago, mid-2021, we were dealing with, you know, damage caused by, you know, people, especially during the riots in July. Even that had to be fixed. I imagine that this makes progress something of a moving target for authorities there.
That is indeed the case, Tulas. It's quite a distorted landscape when you look at education in the province, particularly for the reasons you've mentioned. And second of all, it is the largest schooling system, at least 6,000 schools. Now, you can imagine if 200 of those schools are damaged, and then few months later, 300 of those schools are damaged. It's quite a lot in terms of how far the department has to stretch, because also the budget is not distributed according to the needs and resources. And therefore, the budget may not necessarily cater for all 6,000 schools to be able to fix issues that may arise or to improve facilities and so forth. So they have to deal with issues on a case-by-case basis. So while they're prioritizing school X, school B suffers more extensive damage. What do they do? How do they then move the resources around and reallocate? So it is quite a predicament that the MEC finds himself in trying to address these issues. He tries to sort out one area and another area, an issue arises. So it is quite a difficult one, and also looking at the fact that the numbers are expected to increase.
All right, thank you for that update. Live for us from Pietermaritzburg, that's eNCA's Mawande Kheswa checking in on progress ahead of the reopening of schools in KwaZulu-Natal and other coastal provinces.